Religion isn't just a belief system. It's a parasite. Not one that lives in your body, but in your mind. Feeding on fear, thriving on guilt. Reproducing itself, generation after generation. It usually starts early. You're a kid, wide-eyed, trusting. You're told about hell before you can spell it, about sin before you can even choose it. Fear is the entry point, the parasite's first hook. Then comes the guilt, not just for what you've done, but for what you are. You're born broken, they say. Your natural desires are dangerous. Your questions are rebellion. So the parasite rewires your behavior. Pray, obey, confess, repeat. You learn to watch yourself constantly. To police every thought and action. Every mistake isn't just a mistake, it's sin. Every success, something you owe to God. Your mind becomes its own surveillance system, working around the clock, keeping you compliant. And just like any parasite, its main goal is survival. So it doesn't just live in you, it uses you to spread. You're told to share the good news, to convert others, to save them, to pass the parasite to the next host. Your kids are born sinners, so they need it too. They get the same stories you got. The same fear, the same guilt, the same cycle. Fear becomes tradition. Tradition becomes identity. And soon nobody remembers where it started, only that it must never end. But here's where it gets even darker. The deeper the infection, the more it changes the host. The more religious you become, the more self-righteous you feel. The parasite convinces you that you are chosen, that your way is the only way, that everyone else is lost, or worse, dangerous. So you start judging, condemning, cutting off friends, family, anyone who won't get right with God. You call it love saving their souls, but really it's fear weaponized. It doesn't just tell you how to live, it tells you who to love. You're told not to date or marry outsiders, to only build a life with someone who believes what you believe. Love becomes conditional, measured by faith, not by kindness or character. And then comes the hypocrisy. You preach forgiveness, but you won't forgive. You talk about grace, but you gossip and shame. Call yourself humble, but secretly believe you're better than everyone outside your faith. It blinds you. You stop asking if something is good and only ask if it's allowed. Morality becomes a rule book, not a compass. Compassion gets sacrificed on the altar of obedience. And worst of all, the parasite shuts down logic itself. When someone shows you evidence, when someone tries to reason with you, you're taught to reject it, to guard your heart, to cling to faith no matter what. Doubt becomes the enemy. Reason becomes temptation. Normal person would listen, weigh the evidence. But a host just doubles down because the parasite whispers. If you doubt, you die. A parasite doesn't care if its host becomes cruel or irrational as long as it keeps spreading. Here's the trick. A good parasite doesn't kill its host. It keeps it alive, docile and dependent. Religion keeps you just scared enough to stay loyal, just guilty enough to stay quiet, just hopeful enough to keep coming back. It feeds on your pain, but offers itself as the cure. It breaks you, then sells you the bandages. And it works because you think you need it. But like any parasite, it can be treated. The antidote: critical thinking, courage, the willingness to ask, who benefits if I stay infected? And if the answer isn't you, maybe it's time to cut the cord. It won't be easy. Parasites fight back when they're dying. You'll feel guilt, deep, gnawing guilt. As if breaking free is betrayal. You'll feel fear, real fear, because you've been taught that freedom leads to hell. But step by step, the fear fades. The guilt quiets. You start to see the world with your own eyes, not through the filter you were given. Because life doesn't have to be lived in fear. You don't have to be a host forever. And once the parasite is gone, you can finally ask the question religion never wanted you to ask. What do I believe when no one is whispering in my ear?